And we're live. Good evening, everyone. How's it going? And welcome to the 21st episode of the Game Dosage Podcast. It's your buddy Invader here, and we've got a slew of, well, some really interesting topics up on the docket tonight. I know I can't wait talking about all these cool gaming subjects. Obviously, there's still a bit of a change in scenery for the show. Glitcher, well, he glitched again. Dang those pesky computer viruses. Don't forget your virus protection, everyone.
Porn.
Hey now. As
I
well,
heard they make creams for that now.
hey, it gets dangerous out there in the virtual wilds. All right, you got to protect ourselves. Got to watch out,
Safety
everyone.
first.
And as well, our buddy Stinking Corpse is unavailable for tonight's show, but hey, we'll see him again sometime soon. But hey, we've got a super awesome panel of passionate gamers lined up, of course. And to start up first, let me introduce our guest panel member tonight. Host of the WFC, Who Da Fuck Cares, and NLG, a person with exceptional taste in cars, Mr. Fastback. How you doing, bud?
Hey, what's going on? And we do fucking care, sir. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. Fan of the show, and fan of you guys on here. Some of you guys have been on WDFC, so yeah, I look forward to chit chatting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely a fan of yours. You do some great stuff, Fastback, along with the crew you got there, Witty, Daz, Coop. Everybody there, just great. All right. And next up, we got a lady that can magically pull UK Dazarus away from his achievement whoring, her moistness herself, Miss Primaleave. How you doing, Missy?
Doing pretty good. You almost make me sound like a suction cup. I am very excited to be with you guys tonight, and thank you, Fastback, for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we have a variety of topics to talk about tonight. So yeah, I'm very excited. And hi, panel. Hi chat.
Got everybody else excited.
Watch out, everyone. She's excited.
I am.
All right. And next, here's a man with the warrior spirit. Someone that, hey, a hurricane can't even keep down. Mr. Jago Kukin. How you doing, pal?
What's up, brother? I am glad to be back. I battled that damn hurricane and its aftermath last week. And then I get, all the bad news from last week as well. Or end of the week, it's been hard. The death of Clementine and Dead Rising franchise, and Jim, spoilers, Jim from the Fear of the Walking Dead. I don't know if I can take it anymore. I'm glad to be back, brother.
So, everybody, don't let Jago know any more spoilers. All right, and next up we got the robotic red mega bustin' terror, Proto Foxy. How you doing, pal?
Woohoo! How's everybody doing? I'm doing great, and I can't wait to talk about video games.
Wow, Cletus got a relative in here.
How we gonna say
Cletus?
That's Cletus.
Cletus committed to a home invasion over here, and I'm being held hostage against my will. Please help me.
Is that Cletus or Fetus? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know about that guy, but goddamn, he sounds like he could be related to me, but we're just down to this stuff there later, okay? You guys sit back and hold on to your painting hose. We're going to have to go soft hair.
Excellent. And of course, the next panel member, a man with multiple personalities, obviously, Mr. Noof Nukem.
Boom, boom, kaboom. Noof is in the room. It is Monday night at Game Dosage Podcast. Awesome panel, awesome topics, and the chat is always awesome as well. Thank you guys for showing up and hanging out with us. Back on Invader's channel. Glitcher couldn't be here. Don't worry. We're giving away a console. If we hit 300, that's still in effect, but we got a long way to go. We'll get to that in just a few moments. And yeah, Jago told me that, hey, he doesn't worry about hurricanes anymore. He had an ex that blew harder. So there we go. Let's roll this show.
Hell yeah, bro.
Definitely. And yeah, don't forget to like and share this this podcast out, the show out. It definitely helps out. And yeah, you get a chance to win a console, right? So, it's all good. Alrighty, so let's get started with our first topic, and I'm sure everybody's chomping on the bits to talk about. Alright, so a few days ago, it was announced that TellTale games that they would be closing. The closure, it's attributed to poor sales, and they're known for story-based, narrative-focused titles such as The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, Back to the Future, just to name a few. They've done a whole bunch of them, and they've laid off a majority of their staff, and they're keeping just a skeleton crew of about, well, let's say 25 staff to work on. I believe it's the remainder of I can't remember if it's Minecraft, but they're working on something. Whether it's
it's freaking Minecraft, bro.
Yeah, it's Minecraft story mode, I believe.
Thanks,
something.
Netflix.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, something with Netflix because of contract obligations that they have. And obviously, hey, it sucks to hear that another big dev within a week or so are basically going under. But that's just business, I suppose, in a lot of ways. But what's your thoughts, panel? Do we have any TellTale fans here? And what's your opinion?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jago's a fresh TellTale fan. I am old school and original TellTale.
No, I started with you the first Walking Dead. I just kind of stopped.
Did you play Sam and Max?
Ooh.
No. I played Jurassic Park. Did you play that one? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You're a TellTale.
All right. So, if you guys have any stories, let me know. But first, let's start with our guest panel member, Mr. Fastback. What's your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame to see, these guys lose their jobs, get laid off. Of course, I've been through that before. Unfortunately for these guys, some of them didn't get a severance package.
That's correct.
Supposedly they weren't getting any overtime either. I guess I imagine these games are on a budget, tight, whatever. So they I guess they're put on salary. So salary workers in most, depending on what state you live in, I guess they don't get overtime pay. So they kind of got screwed.
I was on Saturday one time, Fastback. I can tell you, I didn't get overtime either.
Yeah, you get screwed on that. But I have not played all the TellTale games. I played some Walking Dead, enjoyed, and the last one I played was Back to the Future, and I definitely enjoyed that. I do understand some of the criticism, like the engine needed to be upgraded. They need to kind of make some improvements on there, some visuals, but the stories were great. It would have been nice if someone kind of picked them up. I had mentioned it once that it would have been cool if, let's say, Microsoft had picked them up and they could have used them to kind of, do a Halo series, and maybe a Gears, and So I don't know. I did see a tweet that was from TellTale, and they did say that there was a lot of interest and someone coming in to help kind of finish The Walking Dead. So they're not guaranteed that that's going to happen, but there's a chance to finish that. So I know Jago should be happy with that.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I didn't realize somebody had
wanted
to step in. Wow, that's interesting.
There's interest partners. So we'll see what happens there.
It's not guaranteed, though.
No, not guaranteed.
No, especially when they have, well, like I said, basically a skeleton crew of about 25 or so staff. Like you don't have much left. And like you guys said, there was no severance packages, and it just seemed all of a sudden that this happened. Like it really blows my mind, considering that they seem to have been hiring, well, actually pretty recently too, last couple of months, even past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And people were just moving over to the studios, and it's like people were changing their lives, and then bam, the studio went under. So this is pretty shocking, but maybe it shouldn't be, because, well, I'll dive into it later. I'll move on to a next panel member, Jago. I know you're chomping at the bits to really chime in here, please. But what's your thoughts, and what are some of your favorite TellTale games?
Man, first. Let's just say The Walking Dead. Every season of that I thought was fantastic. I wasn't I've said before, I played the first one, and then I didn't play. I just, because of other games, and it was like a narrative some people would call it a walking simulator. That's what they called it. But the stories were really good. So I played the first one, was fantastic. So I just kind of fell off, and there was so many games to play. Then I got back into them here recently, and then I just went like crazy. I played both the Batman games, Tales from the Borderland, Jurassic Park, what else? Wolf Among Us, and actually the Game of Thrones, man. And I thought they were all fantastic. The Game of Thrones ones kind of looked downgraded, like they were maybe too busy concentrating on other things. But it was still, the story was still good if you're a Game of Thrones fan. But all of them, I really enjoyed all of them. The Wolf Among Us was probably, with The Walking Dead, in my opinion, were the two bright shining stars out of all of them. So it really, when I saw this news, I was like, wow, what happened? And I think, in my opinion, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one that may say this, I think they overextended themselves, because those licenses, let's be honest, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, they cost a lot of money, let's be honest. And I heard through the grapevine, just here and there, social media, they were that, they were pushing their employees really hard, and making them work. And now you were saying they won't get no overtime. I just think they try to do too much at one time. I think maybe the success of The Walking Dead got to their head, and and I played Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Thought it was good, but those licenses are expensive, and then we already know that their sales were going down. So if you're paying out all this money for licenses, but you're not getting return in sales, I mean, it's kind of the writing on the wall. But nobody saw it. Nobody was really expecting it. But now that we learning all this, after they've made their statement about shutting down, it's kind of like it makes sense. You can't overextend yourself that way. But I mean, it's bad. I just can't believe it. But I was listening. I don't remember what podcast it was. They were saying, this walking or the TellTale games they have a huge following, and they may be so. But if they had such a huge following, why were their sales declining? Because we all know that Call of Duty sells, they have a huge following, and people come out every year to buy that crap. I mean, especially this year's, and I'm not buying it. And they always sell like gangbusters. And all the Call of Duty devs have not gone out of business or shut down. So if the TellTale was, the fans, that many fans, why were their games not selling? Was it, not, because I got a lot of them game shared to me. I got a couple on games with gold. I mean, what's the deal? At the end of the day, I think all the devs will be fine. But I mean, what is the deal? I mean, why? Why is this happening? You know what I'm saying? What's the the real deal? If their games are that popular, why are they shutting down?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously everyone points to that they really did well with they're best known for the original Walking Dead game that they did. Sure, they had some accolades with a couple of the other games before, whether it be Back to the Future, Sam & Max, and Jurassic Park.
See, that's when I got Back to the Future. I got that on Games with Gold. I didn't pay for it.
Exactly. I still actually, that brings up a good point. I forgot about that one, and I still haven't played it yet. But I know people who like it. That's the thing, and people are like, oh, I like this TellTale game. I like this TellTale game. But and I've heard good things, from mutual friends that talk about it, like The Wolf Among Us, for example.
Wolf Among Us is probably, I probably enjoyed that one the most. I ain't gonna lie. Walking Dead was number 2 for me.
Yeah, and I've heard these about TellTale games too. It's just, like, to me, they all, I don't know what it is. It's the same style of game, and they really don't venture off like a different path. They have no other modes. They're all basically the same kind of.
It was a tired formula. It was a tired formula, I think, for some people.
Well, I know somebody here is chomping at this.
There's everything you're saying.
Let's snail trail moist our way on through here, and then I'll try to
snail trail. Come on, let's get your point.
Let me slide my way in. The whole situation is very upsetting, not just to our fans, but a lot of people just lost their jobs. How are they supposed to be paying? And it's not like it was at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. It was at the middle of the month. What the fuck are they going to do?
No,
So I definitely, and I hope like all these talented people do find new homes within other developers and companies. But as a fan, I am extremely sad. I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off. I haven't stopped talking about it. My daughter and I yesterday spent the entire day listening to the soundtracks of every single game and getting really upset about it.
And eating Rocky Road ice cream.
Right. But like I'm a huge fan. The Walking Dead, I'll get there in a second because that's probably the one thing that's super pissing me off. But just like with Jago, Wolf Among Us is fucking fantastic. It's probably my favorite one. I did read some of the comics beforehand, so it was something that I was somewhat familiar with, but it was nice to see everything in live action. Well, semi-live action. But the fact that we don't get to finish Clementine's story is extremely upsetting because we watched this. I'm going to try not to spoil anything for those who haven't played, but we watched this little girl grow up and become what she is now. And
someone felt like your kid.
Right, exactly. I raised her through my buttons.
Yep.
So it was just like
that's disturbing.
Well, it's frustrating because they were starting to produce different things. Not only were the graphics starting to get not necessarily better, but they were becoming different. The controls were also
am I right?
Different.
Am I right? The last season of The Walking Dead looked way better than like most.
Oh my god, it was absolutely beautiful. Even season 3, where you didn't get to control Clementine the way that they did things, it was a lot smoother. And I felt almost that there was more action because of all the quick time events that they started adding in there as well. And this last season really, really got to me because for some reason, I just felt more connected to it, probably because I raised her through my buttons, but also just because of the movement and the emotion and everything. Yes, I know some people are tired of the walking simulators. They're point and click games. It's a genre. They're probably one of my favorite ones. I absolutely love point and click, especially when it's like Sherlock Holmes and shit. But all these, I don't understand why no one is grabbing at this, because I feel like that there are enough fans to support TellTale. I really do, and maybe it is because of the fact that I've noticed within the past few months a lot more people have been playing TellTale, and it's because they're just being handed out kind of at this point. We are getting it free, and it's a shame that 1, we don't get to finish Clem's story. 2, we don't get Wolf Among Us season 2. As far as Stranger Things, I did read something recently. I don't know if it's true or not or anything, so don't quote me on this, but I heard that Netflix will still be picking up the game, but it will not be done under TellTale. They do want to finish it. And yes, true. They are doing Minecraft, which is
they can dump that as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I did play a little bit of it, but it was for my daughter, and even that made her cry. So it's just like these games that they've created, these environments, these worlds. Yes, they are picking up huge titles, and like Game of Thrones and Marvel was a big deal. But it was great for Marvel because then you got to actually learn more about what you didn't see in the movies, because a lot of the stuff in there is straight from the comics, and it's also more true to the comics than maybe the movie has been. And as far as Walking Dead, I'm sorry I keep going back to it, but I enjoyed that more than the show. There was something about it that made me just look more forward to the next episode than what the fuck is Rick gonna do and blah blah blah. What is he gonna do again? I stopped caring about that as much in Fear of the Walking Dead. I don't really care for it. But shit, I could probably keep on going. I'm a huge fan of these games, and I really wish somebody would save them. Boom mentioned it in a tweet that they would be great for Game Pass, which I do think. I think that would be a great idea. And if Microsoft's trying to make money off of it, why wouldn't you want a game where somebody would have to pay monthly to continue the episodes? I would pay. I
will add to what you're saying. Probably like when you're playing one of those really good Telltale games, it's like watching a really good TV show, like me watching The Flash. You can't wait to get to the next episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's sad and it's frustrating to see this happen. I'm sorry for all the fans, and I'm really sorry for all the employees too. It's such a shock, and it's so random, especially because they just started improving their engine, and that they were going to show us something new. Because we saw some of the gameplay, or not gameplay, but some of the screenshots of Wolf Among Us. Yeah, he might have put on 50 pounds, but he still looks good. You know, like I still.
That's a sexy bitch.
Well, it's funny you say like new engine, because I had seen recently, I had posted this in a chat, a separate chat of a leaked video of the Stranger Things, and I did think that it from what we saw, I know it's a work in progress, but it did look drastically better what they were using in comparison to their previous stuff. It was like too little too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
right, yeah, just move on.
Yeah, c'est la vie. Yeah, no, like, you're right, Primal. It's a shame, and people, they have an emotional connection to a lot of these characters, like you said, especially to like the Walking Dead characters, and even the Wolf Among Us too. Like, these are characters that people grew to really, really like, obviously, and get attached to. Proto Foxy, did you ever play any of the TellTale games? Were you ever invested? What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely, I was. Walking Dead particularly. I'm with Primal there, and Jago, as far as like they cared more about the game than they did the show. I thought the show was absolute trash as far as I was concerned. I felt like the games were more in the spirit of the comic books, which was really rad. I played the Batman games. I played Wolf Among Us, So yeah, I was very, invested in what TellTale was doing, and I was actually really shocked when I read the articles. Because not only are they closing up shop, but they're closing up shop like very shady. Like, these guys aren't getting the severances and stuff like that. It's, I understand that licenses cost a lot of money, and they had big money licenses. Back to the Future, Marvel, Batman, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. It goes on. But at the same time, with the audience these games seem to have, because everybody was always talking about TellTale games. It almost seemed like that, anytime TellTale was dropping a new game based on one of these franchises, that they were, at least to me, it seemed like they were doing well. I mean, yeah, I guess if the sales were cooling off a bit, it might justify some layoffs, but I mean, a complete closing up a shop, it's really shocking. And the way they're doing it's even worse. And it's a shame. It's a shame that you're not going to get Wolf Among Us, the second part too. You're not going to complete the Walking Dead story. That's a damn shame in and of itself, because that was just such a good story.
Didn't I read somewhere, Proto, maybe, that they like came into work and then they got laid off and had no clue what was happening?
Yeah, it was wholesale, according to the articles I was reading. And then, on top of that, like I said, no severances. A lot of these people were just blindsided by it. Yeah. But then, like, hear you guys even talk about, like, we're playing some of these games for free. Maybe that's part of what caused it. When you're giving this stuff away for free like that, and you don't have any kind of pay model going on, then that's just bad business. But it's a shame. It's a shame, because I always felt that they were a good company. I always felt like they, the experience with their games were just so unique. Yeah, they were point and click, blah, 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 blah. You can bitch about that till the cows come home. But they were unique experiences. They were story-driven experiences, and that's what made them so enjoyable. It was an interactive story more than it was just your kind of get to point A to point B, maybe play a side quest video game. This was something different. It was unique and it was refreshing. So yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the story of TellTale games from when they started to now, and you can tell that they really had a passion, especially at the beginning, for doing these types of games, and it's and then then they just grew exponentially after The Walking Dead, and it's just it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Mr. Noof Nukem, did you have any experience playing the TellTale games, and what are your thoughts on the matter?
Finally, The Rock gets to lay his 2 cents in and play the smackdown here, some bitch. All right, look, let's give it to you. I'm going to give it to you as straight and as simple as I can fucking put it, okay? And that's bottom line. Look, I could see the writing on the wall long before this happened. This does not totally surprise you. The thing is here, you know what? There's something definitely astray. It must be mismanagement. Okay, I'm going to lead this to mismanagement. Because how do you make that many fucking games from a studio and not know that you're in jeopardy, that the studio is in jeopardy? You got to know your numbers. You got to know your sales. So somebody from the head office to the bottom office was not communicating. Something is definitely amiss. Now, the thing is, right, look, you go back to the earlier games. Look, the what do you call it? The Back to the Future didn't exactly set the world on fire. But then it came out, they struck lightning in a bottle with The Walking Dead. Plus, okay, when The Walking Dead came out, it was riding the coattails of one of the most popular TV series of all time. When The Walking Dead was at its height, it was at its peak. That's when the show came out. So it was it kind of rode the coattails of success, and it was really good. Like, The Walking Dead still has one of the most gripping stories of any TellTale game starting. I mean, you got the, like Primal alluded to, you kind of watch this girl grow up through the episodes, and it had a lot of weight to it. But they tried after that. It was kind of like they were trying to hit the lightning in a bottle again, because they started branching out. They basically like hit every major sort of license that you could think of. Like, they tried to capture the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, they went a little bit off stray with The Wolf Among Us, but that was one of their most creative titles. Okay, but it probably wasn't their biggest seller. Now, here's a couple other things you got to look into, right? And this is where I think some of the numbers were probably misleading for TellTales. Because remember, every time they put out a game, they'd always give you episode 1, and more often than not, they were free, right? You could play the first episode for free. So how many people do you think jumped on that free episode and took it for a spin going, okay, so they look at the numbers and go, well, fuck, this shit just downloaded about 3 million copies on Xbox Live, right? So then they're probably getting excited going, well, this could work out. But the thing is, I wonder what the percentage of people that continued on with the content afterwards is a big question, something that I would love to know. We don't have the answers to, but that's my question. How many people afterwards went out and then got the game? Second, and Jago kind of alluded to this afterwards, if you look at Xbox Live Gold and these things, look, obviously the games came to that platform because they weren't selling, and this was a way to try to get exposure for their franchises, right? It was their way of advertising themselves to the world. Here's the game, it's free. They didn't make any money off it. I guess Microsoft paid them a royalty or something, but it probably wasn't enough to keep the kitchen fires going. But it's better than nothing, right? I mean, it's better to get your game being played somewhere than just nowhere, bottom line, end of the day. And that in itself is part of the problem, because they never had, their games are like the ultimate one and done. You're going to play through them once, maybe the odd person played them 2 or 3 times, but honestly, anybody in the panel here actually beat those games maybe more than once, or certainly more than 3 times? Anybody? Maybe besides Primal?
I was going to say I did too.
Yes, I played them all multiple times because they came out on the 360 and then they came out again on the 1. And there was also, before I knew that eventually, all the endings are the same no matter how you play them.
Right.
But I wasn't too aware of that at the time. So I kept playing them and doing different decisions, and they still ended up being the same. So yeah.
Right. But you get my point, right? Bottom line is they're the ultimate one and done, because the game doesn't have a lot of stuff to really go back for most people to keep you invested in their atmosphere. Their way of getting you invested is to continue a series like The Walking Dead, or they try to hit lightning about, like Batman's a pretty big property. I would imagine Batman had to be one of their better selling titles, period, because of the property. But I don't know how much else sold, and I don't know how many they needed to sell in order to sort of break even with their studio, because I don't know their expenses. But it sounds like they were growing exponentially over the last couple of years. But again, if you think about it, it's got to be mismanagement somewhere, because you've got to know this shit in advance. You can't just suddenly be like, oh, well, this game's not doing well, let's just close the shop. Like, they must have seen numbers dip somewhere along the lines. Like I said this perfectly on Crossfire. A talented studio like that should have took their amazing storytelling and branched out. They could have maybe even made a second studio and took some of that stuff and made actual games. Like, I mean, like an open world game, or a game that used their storytelling, a game that still incorporated their choices and their options, but not walk left, walk right, look at something, press a button, get a dialogue wheel, make a choice, and see what the fuck happens. Like, no, they needed some meat and potatoes, and they had the talent to do it, but they just kept playing it safe. They kept again, if you keep going to the well one too many times, The Rock would say, well, if you keep going to the well one too many times during a dry spell, it is going to dry up. Okay, like that's how he would put it. And that's exactly what happened. They kept going to the well, hoping that they're going to hit lightning in a bottle. It just didn't happen. They have some great properties. I love their stuff, because you know what? Their games are also, not only are they, yes, they're great one-off games, or the kind of the one and done. I hate to even use that term, but they're the kind of games that they're awesome for your collection when you don't feel like getting into something like, you know what I mean? Like you don't feel like going into a Grand Theft Auto, or you don't feel like wandering a giant world of The Witcher. Like it's like playing a live action comic in front of your face, but you have some control of the outcome. That is their games, and that's what they made their success on it. But then he kind of took the Call of Duty formula, and it's like, well, if one sells, they're all going to sell. I'm sorry, that didn't happen, and this is where they are. But somewhere along the lines, I don't blame the devs. I don't blame the guys who take the orders. It comes from the top. It ends up at the bottom. Unfortunately, those poor bastards, they got to go look for more work. Well, somebody obviously fucked up big time over at TellTale, and it's too bad. But there's my 2 cents worth on it.
Yep. Well, I am that guy, Noof. I've played through them one time. That's it.
Me too, man. Maybe once, I think twice for the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Well, how much were the episodes per episode? If you bought them separately.
If you bought them separately, they're like $4.99.
$4.99.
Yeah.
And then
$24.99 for the whole season.
So talking about the cost, I wonder how much it cost these license that they had. Like what percentage did they have to pay for these license? You know.
But that's a great point. That in itself,
enough money to even afford that over time.
But see, that in itself also loses game players, because look at, if we took an example of a really popular franchise, look at what do you call it, the fucking Assassin's game there. What's that one called?
Assassin's Creed.
No, Hitman.
Hitman.
Hitman went episodic, and look what happened to that franchise. It almost ruined it, because nobody wants to pay $80 over like the course of a fucking year. Like, give us the goddamn game already. Like, some people lose interest in those games because they're like, for some people they think it's great. Other people it's just like, like I got other shit to play. I couldn't be bothered waiting a couple of months to get episode 2.
Yeah, you make a good point, Noob, because like I played the first Walking Dead, like the very first season when it came out, and then it was free, and then I forgot about it, and then didn't pick up the rest of the episodes until like a year later, because I had totally forgot about it. And I was like, oh shit! And by that time, I think all the episodes were done. But a lot of people, you play that type of game, you're like, man, this shit's cool, but I gotta wait on them. Screw that! I'm playing Call of Duty or the go-to Gears, and that it was. They struck lightning in a bottle, like you said, with like Walking Dead. But if you make people wait, people are impatient and they'll forget, and then some people won't ever go back to your game.
Yeah, and heads up, Don't Nod Studios, don't rest on your laurels with Life is Strange either. That game is not exactly blowing the doors off, so you guys
watch it.
Hey, it's the same kind of game, though. It's the same kind of game.
It is.
But they might want to branch out too, or trust me, if they keep going to the well with that, they're going to end up where TellTale is.
Well, they just released Vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least they're, like, to me, I think they're in a much better spot, Don't Nod, than, obviously what TellTale are now. At least I think they realized that they had to do other things. Plus, they did other games, too, like Remember Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that, like, to me, I think that they are in a much, much better space to branch out and move on from where they are now. Just in case too, because I think they see it like starting to stagnate a little bit, but of course they're going to continue the trend after the success of Life is Strange. But yeah, to me, the whole thing with TellTale was they grew too fast. Like they were such a small company, or studio, and then after the original Walking Dead game hit, like they just blew up, and then they started doing all these different contracted games that, I mean, hey, at first it's good, you got Game of Thrones and Walking Dead and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that, but they didn't own their IP, and also they didn't, like Noof said, they didn't do anything else. They just did those types of games, and they didn't branch out to another genre or do their own games.
Question, Invader, or anybody on the panel, since this, TellTale only made the one type of game, what game or what type of game would you think you would be comfortable with seeing them, been comfortable with seeing them attempt? An action platformer or what? Go. I mean, I'm trying to think of one in my head, but I don't know.
Hell, for me, I would almost say maybe like an almost action RPG if you think about it, because it wouldn't. I mean, because it wouldn't be so far of a stretch from what they were doing, because they were telling stories, something that had a, that was pretty narrative heavy, but you could do almost like an action RPG, almost like a Zelda or maybe like Kingdom Hearts or something.
Same art style, or like, would you want to see something different?
Oh,
like,
hell,
No,
I mean, that would
keep the art style. That's
I
like
was
the
going to say
staple of
that's
TellTale.
that's their trademark. You would
Okay.
keep the art style at that point.
Well, I don't know if you have to keep the art style, but I would still think with that kind of a studio, with such a heavy narrative focus, that they could do like some kind of a single player like RPG, but again, like it would still be narrative focused, but it doesn't have to necessarily stick to the same style, just as long as it draws upon the studio's strengths.
Yeah.
But again, it's a shame, guys, what happened, but in the end, like, business is business, and I'm sure that it's a shame what happened to the people at the studio, the developers, but they'll find jobs eventually. Like, there's all kinds of studios. I mean, I'm sure everybody saw on Twitter, like, there's all these studios, offering, hey, we got openings, or, hey, let's have, you guys can come down and, we'll talk, and so on and so forth. So there's definitely been offers to them anyways, and I wish them all the best of luck.
Me too.
And it just it shows you that studios eventually, they have to be smart. The higher ups have to start planning, and you can't grow too fast without a plan.
Nope.
And
That's
all right,
definitely true.
So moving on to our next topic, guys, it's funny how the news comes around. Last week, of course, the PlayStation Classic was announced, and now we've got rumors swirling about a Nintendo 64 Classic Mini Console on the way. Now, there's been trademarks filled over, about a year or so ago to a European intellectual property office with an image of an N64 controller. So why is this significant? Well, this trademark, it was officially registered and published. That and rumors are just fueling about an announcement coming soon from Nintendo about an N64 Classic console. Now, obviously, the Classic consoles, they've been very successful for Nintendo, and this would make a lot of sense. So I ask panel, what are your thoughts on this? Is it a thing? Also, what are 3 games that you would like to see preloaded on a supposed N64 Classic console? And I'm going to start with our guest again, Mr. Fastback. What are your thoughts?
No, I think the 64 is another popular console that many loved, but also a lot of people kind of passed it on it. But you had the PS1 out. Which Sega was out around that time?
Saturn,
right?
Saturn, yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of us were already getting up to that age where we kind of like moving on from Nintendo. But I know I had one. Shadow of Empire was one of my favorite on there.
Oh, yeah.
Ocarina, I could see that on there. And I think, what was the Mario, the big Mario, the open Galaxy?
Mario 64.
Yeah, Super Mario 64.
64, yeah. So I wouldn't mind seeing those on there. myself.
Oh yeah.
I think it'll do well. I think that also, isn't it rumored to come out this holiday? Maybe. Is it too soon?
I didn't see a date, but anything's possible, I guess.
There's no concrete information on it.
Yeah, the talks are right now because it's all rumored. It's just a lot of people are fueling it just because that's when the Sony one drops. Yeah. So they're thinking more along the lines of like Sony and Nintendo going head to head like the mid '90s kind of thing. It's almost more like just a wish list rumor than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but I was gonna say I think if it does come out, it'll be successful.
Oh yeah, well, hey, they basically been printing money ever since they first started doing this. I mean, obviously, it's a very successful thing to do, and that's why Sony's starting to do it now. Who knows? Maybe Microsoft will join the pack with an original Xbox. You never know. But all right, who's next? Who we got here? Noof, Mr. Noof Nukem. What are your thoughts, and what games would you like to see from that console?
Well, let me just point this out, guys. Like, obviously people are trying to jump at this retro trend that's been, blazing through the industry for the last couple of years. This is not really nothing new. We've seen multiple versions of the Sega Genesis from at games. Nintendo's had 2 strikes at it now, been usually successful with the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo. So I'm not really surprised Sony's jumping in on here. And Nintendo, and it's heavily rumored. Actually, I think a while back there was an article and they even released 21 games or something that are supposed to be preloaded on the N64. In terms of if it comes out, and it probably will, because there's too much money to be made, the 3 games I would definitely go with would be Mario 64, because it's an instant classic. It's the game that kind of made me want to buy one. Ocarina of Time, which is regarded as still one of the best Zelda games to date, and Mario 64. How could you forget that? I mean, honorable mention after those games, sure, you'd go with probably GoldenEye, maybe a game like Rogue Squadron was amazing. You could even go down to like Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country. There was a pile of games from Rare and other companies too. But those 3 games would be the ones I would have to have on my N64 mini if I was to buy one. That sort of thing. So yeah, like I said, it's optional too, right? Because a lot of people are giving the Sony one heat. Look, they're just trying to make money. You don't have to buy it. The only thing that's a bit of a piss off, okay? And I think a lot of us guys who are primarily Xbox fans feel this way because we took a lot of shit for the last how many years about backwards compat, right? Yep. And all of a sudden, they get backwards compat, but they got to buy it. They got to buy it through the PS1 Classic or whatever. And now all of a sudden, old games are cool. But they weren't pretty cool when Xbox was the only one doing it and doing it right and still doing it right, giving us all the consoles under one roof. But hey, that's a topic for another day. I don't want to sit here and start a fanboy war. It's just, it's hypocritical that they give Xbox and the fans so much crap because we could play our 360 and our old Xbox games all in one spot. And here they are now chomping at the bit to buy this piece of plastic that you can't even play your discs in. It's only going to come preloaded with 20 games. The same thing with Nintendo. And God forbid, guys, go pre-order the damn thing because Nintendo's probably going to choke the market as soon as the N64 comes out. I expect the same shit over again. They're going to trickle them out, have people chomping at the bit, lining up at the store with their pants down, waiting to get one. And they won't be able to find one unless you're there in the morning or got one pre-ordered or some bullshit. And then we'll be back to square one. Like those NES classics now, apparently they're pretty easy to get. They're in the stores. I walked into multiple stores around my area, can find them on the shelf. So they're not that hard to get now, but that's 2 years later? Kudos, Nintendo.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. I remember speaking about their supplies and how they purposely just trickle them out. Even with some of their amiibos, they've been known for doing that, and it's just I never liked that practice from Nintendo. I mean, they do some good things, but they should know better. Right.
8-bit era technology, and you can't pump these things out fast enough. I mean, come on, there's about as much technology on the NES Classic as there is on a cracker these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Come on. Oh, well, they did that on purpose. Full well they did, just to drive up them.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And then, of course, the fucking, what do you call them? The people that sell them, what do you call them? The
Scalpers.
Yeah. Scalpers are killing them,
rats, sons of bitches, don't get me started on them.
Oh, fuck. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
That's why when I had my second PS4 Pro the other day, everybody told me, I had a lot of friends say, why don't you just go and sell it online and make money on it? I said, no. And you know why? Because I'm a man of principle. And I'm like, if I sell this thing and make money on it, then I'm no better than the scumbags that fucking pissed me off because they bought all the NES Classics when I wanted one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm doing the same shit. So I just brought it back to the store and it just got the exact money I paid for it. Boom.
I could have swore I heard Noof say penis 4 Pro, but that's just me.
Who knows? Maybe Cletus snuck in there. You never know.
This singer's like a mighty fine cancer. All the ladies come and snapping that one up. I bet that comes with an 8-inch controller that's about as good as the Power Glove. Get a little finger in
my.
8-inch, all right.
Jago, you need to clean those ears out. They're dirty.
You were talking so fast, man. What it sounded like.
All right. Proto, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a thing? And what games would you like to see preloaded on this sucker?
Oh, for the N64 one, it's absolutely going to be a thing. Yeah, the patents are filed, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's rumors, wish lists, this, that, and the other thing. Come on. Let's face it, folks. They've done it with the NES. They did it with the Super NES. They're going to do an N64. It's just, I mean, at that point, it's almost just elementary, you know? I mean, why wouldn't they? And they're tapping into a market, and I'm not going to segue into my thoughts about the Sony one yet because we're not there yet, but it's the whole same kind of thought process, is that these kinds of products aren't even meant for the hardcore gamers like us, you know, the guys that keep the ecosystem going. This is all tapping into a nostalgic casual market. All these people that, I mean, like, yeah, you got the hardcore gamers that are buying these as well, obviously, because they want to be able to play their classic games without having to break out the old systems and try and, you know, figure out how to make them work on their 4K TVs and whatnot. Believe me, it's trying to figure out how to get my top-loading NES to go on my HD TV without it looking like total crap is difficult. You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, so it's that kind of the whole thing where it's like, okay, yeah, we're nostalgic, man. I remember playing this in high school. I remember playing this in college, you know, and now it's all in one spot. You know, that's what they're tapping into, and that's what Sony's doing as well. And obviously, when we get into talking about the Sony one, I'll go into that later, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, it's a no-brainer. The N64 will happen. Will it happen this holiday season? Who knows? If Nintendo's got big enough brass to do so, to go head-to-head with Sony and to kind of relive that nostalgic even further by going into, hey, it's like the mid-90s again, they could. Who knows? Or they can just make you sit and wait. I mean, it's Nintendo. Nintendo sometimes doesn't even seem like they know what they're doing. You know, it's the God's honest truth. I mean, they make things happen, but sometimes it doesn't seem like they know how they're going to do it. But I'm ranting at this point. I apologize. As far as what I would like to see on it, obviously everybody's touching on Mario 64. That's an instant classic that has to be there. Ocarina of Time, of course, that would have to be there. If it's not, you would have to punch whoever in Nintendo is greenlighting this in the face, because it was like, why would you exclude those? You know, those are given. I mean, those are easily, and I'll go a step further by saying that I think they're a couple of, you know, arguably the greatest games of all time. They were the most revolutionary of their time for sure, and they hold up the test of time. I mean, obviously with all the remakes that they've already had, you know, on their handheld systems and whatnot. As far as a third, man, that slot is so wide open. I mean, obviously, if they could,
never heard that one.
I walked into that one too, didn't I? Son of a bitch.
So did they.
You walked into that
KY.
I walked into that wide open slot. Good.
Wipe your face off.
I did. I'm clean now.
The cake that mommy told you about, it was mine, and it said I can go to the park.
What?
You got it. That's my little 5-year-old.
Yeah.
That's a great new voice, Noof. Wow, how'd you pull that off?
Good Lord.
You squeeze your balls hard enough, you can't sound like that.
You get a vice on it, and I think you'll be all right. But there's just so many titles, man. I mean, obviously, if they can secure the license for GoldenEye, that would be a no-brainer because that was like the big party game then. One I would like to see, and again, if they could secure the license, because I know Microsoft has Rare now, but it would be really cool to see like the original Conker's Bad Fur Day ported over, because that was actually one of my favorites. I still play it. I actually still play it on N64. It's one of my favorite games. Could they do it? Will they do it? Who knows? I mean, that would be cool to see.
I know they've been buddy-buddy, but I don't know if they'd be that nice.
I don't
know.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because a lot of people, because I've seen a lot of videos come after these announcements, and, you know, just kind of watching them and what have you, and a lot of people are saying, like, oh, well, you know, everybody talks about GoldenEye, but what about Perfect Dark? What about the fact that Microsoft owns Perfect Dark? You know, you can wish upon that star all you want, but, you know, I don't think Microsoft would let Rare, you know, would let their properties now, because they own them, go to a competitor's console, even if it is a niche, nostalgic-driven casual console. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. I see what you mean, bud. Jago, what's your thoughts, bud? And let's see, what games would you like to see on this console? Do you think it's a thing?
Well, like Prolo said, you know, they've already done it with NES, NES Classic, so it's more than likely coming. For me, in that time era, that was a weird time in gaming, and honestly was, because you had like Nintendo 64 and PlayStation and Saturn and everybody battling it out. And then by that time, for me, I was kind of pretty much getting off the Nintendo train, and it went downhill from there because I'm not a big Nintendo fan. I mean, it went down, and that's when it started. But I mean, it's pretty much going to happen. And we've already seen it 2 times before with the patents and all this and the leaks and all that, you know, rumor bullshit or, you know, whatever leaks online. I was, like I said, I was more PlayStation Saturn then. So, you know, but I did have one, and the games I ain't going to buy one. I haven't bought an NES Classic or an SNES Classic, but if I was to buy a retro console, it would be from Nintendo. It would be the SNES, because I had some of my best memories. Not to say that I didn't play a lot of games on the NES that were fun, like Mega Man and, you know, Castlevania and all that, you know, back in the day, but it's a long time ago. But I had some of my best memories playing games on the SNES. That was my favorite Nintendo console was Super Nintendo.
Proud of you, sir.
I mean, it is, and I'm a Sega guy, I'm gonna tell you, I was a Sega guy first, but I think I honestly only owned like 5 or 6 games for my Nintendo 64 before I got rid of it, because that controller was weird. Honestly, it was a pitchfork with one thumbstick. I mean, really,
it looked like a Fisher Price toy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can hold it. You can hold it with the middle and on the right. You can hold it with your right hand in the middle or on the left hand on the left. I mean, it was just weird. But I had, you know, I remember I had fond memories of GoldenEye. Now it doesn't hold up well. It looks like shit. So I mean, GoldenEye. Let's be honest, it looks like shit.
Oh, yeah.
What games from that era besides, you know, the Final Fantasy titles?
That's what I'm saying. It was a weird era. Weird because they were transitioning from like the 2Ds and the polygons to the pixels to the polygons, and it was just a weird era. I say GoldenEye. Donkey Kong was on it. What? Yeah, Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And I got to go with my Killer Instinct Gold, because that was one of the. I mean, I bought that day one just so I could actually.
KI Gold.
Yes, because that was like the first time I actually felt like Killer Instinct looked the closest, and it did look the closest to the arcade. And I was like doing backflips in my yard. I was like, "Oh my god, I got Killer Instinct at home!" So yeah, so that'd be my 3. But am I going to pick one up? Is it happening? Yes, I can say that for almost 100% certainty. Am I going to pick one up? No.
All right on, Jago, right on. And Miss Moyes, Primal Eve, what are your thoughts on this? A panel seems to think that this is a thing. I mean, I think it is too, obviously, the patent. And what games would you have on this sucker?
It's not surprising, and it is kind of obvious that this is something that would come along down the line. You know, it might as well let's just keep redoing everything. You know, next thing we'll have is a mini GameCube, which I probably would buy. But
a mini Game Boy. How about that?
Oh, man.
Funny you say that. I've heard
there is one.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Funny you say that.
I was kidding. Damn, I didn't know.
It exists.
Anyways, continue, Primal.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. As far as games, like everybody here, yeah, of course, you gotta have Super Mario 64, and you also have to have Ocarina of Time. Now, this system came out when I was like 11, I think. So this was like really cool for me. I wasn't growing out of it yet. And it was also like everybody had to have like the 4 different colors of the systems they had, like the ugly green, yellow, and the purple, and all that cool stuff. But I remember for my 3rd game, it's really hard for me because I played so many. So GoldenEye, yeah, of course.
Yep.
But for some reason, I keep getting flashbacks of me getting really, really pissed off at Zelda for being in that damn water temple.
Oh God!
to taking a break and playing a shit ton of Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know what it was, but for some reason that game just like it stood out to me for some reason. And I remember also playing South Park too. I remember doing that with all the damn fucking the turkeys, and they're it drove me nuts. But yeah, no, there's definitely some good memories and nostalgia with it, and it's hard not to think that the system would come out and people wouldn't buy it. There's some good shit on there.
Oh yeah, totally. I know from my experience with the system, the N64, I absolutely love that system. Probably one of my top systems I've ever owned. Just I love the games that were on there from, like for me, like I think this is obviously a thing. Obviously they continue with this, and I would say that what I would want there, I don't think you're gonna see the Rare games show up on there because of Microsoft owning Rare and all that jazz. But however, it would be really, really awesome if they had GoldenEye on this, like a few panel members said. Like it would just, that would be awesome. Diddy Kong Racing, I'm really happy you mentioned that, Primal, because Diddy Kong Racing,
forgot about that one.
It was awesome. I was thrilled to play that game. It was so good. And I'm shocked I didn't hear this. Star Fox 64. I love Star Fox.
Well, see, I can't attest to that.
Yeah.
I only played it on the SNES, and it was so good on the SNES. I didn't feel like I needed to play it on the
it was so much better on the 64.
Was it really?
Oh my God, yeah. Because again, one of those ones I still own and still play. I can't believe I glossed over it.
Yeah,
I missed that one.
I'm kicking myself in the ass for that one right now.
Yeah,
if you all could only see it.
Early Mario Party games were quite a blast, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had the N64 had quite a slew of games. Even some of the earlier games too, like Pilot Wings and Wave Race. Like there was a few of them that were just classics, in my opinion. And even everybody mentions Ocarina of Time, but Majora's Mask was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. I would be hard pressed to not see both of them on an N64 classic again. Those are like the no-brainers.
The Rock says you can count on the N64 like you can count on a virgin coming out of whorehouse.
Too good, too good. So moving on, it's fitting leading into our next topic, speaking about, these classic consoles, and we're just going to touch on this a bit, but we talked about this on last week's show about the newly announced PlayStation 1 Classic console, and now we have some more information on it. Sony stated that there will be no PSN functionality, no online support, so don't expect any trophies or anything like that. And also that there would be 20 games with it, and there would be no other games added. So you just get the launch games, and that's that. Now, I would love to hear the panel's thoughts on the matter. Is no PSN a big deal for you, or is it just, you see... Do you just see what you get? Just something simple and that's it. So let's kick it off with Mr. Fastback. Fast, what are your thoughts?
PS Now on the Mini?
No, the PSN functionality. Like just internet period having like no PSN on it at all. Just the straight console. Just, the 20 games and that's it. Just kind of bare minimum.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're following suit with what Nintendo has done with the NES and the Super NES Minis. So, I mean, it makes sense for them. They're looking at it as a, maybe add on to all the sales that they get on the PS4 hardware. So, because it wasn't that, didn't a couple months ago that the NES Mini topped the NPDs? Was top selling?
Yes, it did. It was either the NES or the SNES. I can't remember which one, but yeah, it topped it in the summertime. It was that's surprising.
They want to get in on that and not have to worry about putting that BC on the PS4 unless you get the PS Now. So whatever.
Yeah, just interesting because there's only 20 games. There's only 5 announced right now, but there's going to be 20 games, and it would have been nice if there was some space and there was some functionality just to download a couple, maybe like throughout the next year. But
so I'm curious why they're waiting on revealing the other games.
Well, supposedly they're going to be popular games, and I have no doubt. But yeah, it is. quite interesting that they're holding off right now. Proto, what are your thoughts on this? No PSN functionality. Is that a big deal? No trophies or anything like that?
It's not. It's again, they're following suit with what Nintendo did because you didn't have that functionality on the NES or the SNES Classic. And let's again talking about how we were talking about the N64 one. Excuse me. This is, yeah, you're going to have some hardcore gamers pick this up, but it's a supplement. It's not a replacement console. It's not this. It's not that. It is for a niche, nostalgic, casual market. You aren't going to, the majority of the people that are going to be buying this aren't looking for that kind of functionality. You know what I mean? It's not one of these things like where a lot of these guys were kind of really ripping it. And, some of the ripping is justified as far as Sony's concerned because of their, how some people take this as a hypocritical stance towards backwards compat. But let's face what this is. This is not their answer for backwards compatibility here. This is a nostalgic, niche, casual cash grab, and that's what it is. That's what all these mini consoles are cash grabs. Let's just call it what they are, and that's not slighting it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just what it is. You call it what it is. And so it's not going to be your catch-all answer for backwards compatibility. It's not going to be your catch-all answer to get all the older titles you want because it's how these systems work. It's how the NES Classic worked, SNES Classic worked. Hell, even the AT Sega Genesis ones, that's how those work. Those are preloaded. You don't have any kind of internet functionality. What you see is what you get. And that's what it is. And so that's what you're getting. You're not going to get this kind of stuff. I mean, as far as what game, we've only got the 5 announced and then they're holding off on the other ones. I bet as far as Sony, with Sony concerned, because a lot of their bigger titles on the PlayStation 1 in particular, a lot of licensing I would have to imagine is involved. You know what I mean? Because a lot of that stuff came out for other consoles and there's licensing and different companies and such. Because you got to look at the early PlayStation, early PS1 catalog. There wasn't a lot of first-party Sony titles. These were all third-party titles. You know what I mean? Like your Resident Evils, your Final Fantasies and Ridge Racer and Tekken and stuff like that. Those weren't Sony. Those were all different companies. So that's why I imagine they're holding off on it. But for anybody who's wanting to look to add more games on this, I mean, just watch YouTube. People crack their NES Classics and their SNES Classics all the time. And you can dump all these ROMs on there. There's third-party companies that make add-ons to where you can actually plug in a cartridge or a USB drive without having to modify the console itself. So there's ways around it if you want to dump an entire PS1 library on there. It's a legal gray area at that point because you're downloading ROMs, but it can be done. But as far as out-of-the-box experience, what this is, it's nostalgic. It's casual. It's a cash grab, not to slight it, but that's what it is. So what you see is what you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the case too. What you see is what you get. Mr. Noof Nukem, what's your opinion on this? Is the no PSN functionality, no online? I mean, I know it's a simple classic console, but is the no trophy support thing a deal breaker? What's your thoughts?
And I don't think it would be for at least 99.5% of any PlayStation fan that's interested in getting this one. Oddly enough, I've owned every single PlayStation console with the exception of the PS1. So that in itself is one reason why I'm at least a little bit intrigued with the PS1 Classic, because I never owned it. Now, it'll be like I said to Mooch and I said to the guys on Crossfire, look, even if half of us go out and buy one of these things, how much are we even going to play it? Look, I bet you I've hooked up my Super Nintendo Classic about 3 times since I bought it. Played it a little bit here and there. It's one of those things. I think these things are more collector's items ultimately than they really are like, oh, let's go play it. I think Mooch was even saying that his kids went to try to play one of his Super Nintendo Classic, I think it was, and they just lost interest in minutes because that's not their era of gaming. Like stuff like them does not hold the same weight that it does to us on this panel who kind of grew up with that. So it's a big nostalgia factor, right? I really could care less. Look, I agree. If Sony wants to make money in this thing, go ahead and do it. you know what I mean? It's not like it's outrageously priced. I mean, it's still kind of affordable. It's going to be a big hit. It's going to sell like hotcakes, no question. It's too bad that a lot of these retro consoles though don't give you at least the chance to play like the discs or the cartridges, aka like the AT Game Sega Genesis one, which does let you play a vast majority of the ROMs if you can go out and find them. Great, right? Because there's a lot of games, obviously, that those companies like Nintendo and now Sony are omitting from their lineup, right? There's a lot of stuff from the Super Nintendo era that's certainly not playable on the SNES Classic. A lot of Nintendo stuff is there, but there's a lot of games that, you know what I mean? Like, you're still missing out on a lot. You're getting some of the games. But, I mean, I'd like to get some of those wrestling games and some of the sports games from back in the day. Maybe play an old game of Madden or NHL hockey or something like that, right? So those sorts of things. And in terms of the games that kind of shocked, they only announced about 5 for this thing so far, which is really kind of weird. Because, I mean, you'd think right off the bat they'd have a Gran Turismo on there because that was a huge game for the PS1. Maybe Metal Gear Solid, that was a huge game. Some of the Tomb Raiders, 1 and 2 in particular, were pretty big for the PS1. You're also looking at Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. Again, I think Proto mentioned this. The licensing could be very tricky because a lot of those properties are no longer owned by the original companies who made the games. But it would be cool to see them there because how cool would it be to fire up your PS1 Classic and play the original, you know, Crash Bandicoot, for example, which was kind of one of the bigger mascot games of its time. Mind you, you can buy the new game, but that's not the point. So it would be kind of cool from a nostalgic factor to see some of those games there. I don't know how and if they can get them, but it would be cool to see that. Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm not really like for it. It's one of those things that kind of comes with the territory. Sony's just trying to take advantage of an opportunity while it's there, while the window's hot, and it still is. Retro gaming is big, and it's not just big through old games. If you look at the indie scene right now, how many of those games are actually like sprite-based games? There's a lot of games that look like they jumped right out of the 16-bit era. But in all fairness, a lot of these indie games are actually better than a lot of the shit we played back in the day because they're actually like good. Like they're tuned better. They're like old games in the look, but they're modern in terms of how they design the levels and play control. A lot better than what there were some of those games back in the day. So kudos to Sony. It's kind of cool. It's too bad they don't play the disc. But the cool factor here is too that people keep forgetting is that they are HDMI. So they hook up to your new televisions quite well, and they also increase the visual. The visuals are obviously in HD. They're definitely look better and sharper than they would be through going through your old composites or whatever. So that's a plus point as well. Although I don't know if you can call it a plus when some of those old games are pixelated as fuck.
Well, the cool thing about a lot of those consoles too offer the ability to switch up your resolutions too. Even though you're plugging in HD, you can still set it to where it looks like an old CRTV or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's cool too. Because obviously you are going to see titles like like Tekken 3 for the PlayStation 1. Just graphically, it's going to be a bit more rough. Yep.
Oh yeah. It's just just adjusting all that. It's at least they have some options there that way, which is kind of nice, especially for the newer setups. Primal Eve, what are your thoughts on this? Is the no PSN functionality thing a big thing for you? No trophies? What's your thoughts?
The whole PSN thing I don't give a shit about that. We didn't have that stuff back then. We all used to play games before without hearing the achievements and going through them and trying to get the achievements. So that's how gaming was.
What are you talking about? What is this? No achievements?
Right. Well, no, it's pretty cool. Ever since I got the PS4, I'm not even looking at trophies. It's going to be the system where I just play to play, and then I'll have the Xbox for achievements. But as far as having 20 games, that's difficult for me because the PS1 was a major system for me. I owned at least, maybe around 250 games for it.
Damn.
Maybe a little less.
Wow.
I used to catalog my shit, and I'd have it all done in genre and alphabetical. And it was weird,
Oh,
crazy shit.
I used to keep my games alphabetical, so I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
I still do.
Because it was a big deal because a lot of RPGs were on that system, and a lot of JRPGs were on that system. And when I look to see at the 5 confirmed, and I see 2 that interest me, it was Final Fantasy VII and Wild Arms. Those were the only 2 that I saw that were like, okay, well, what about
they picked a shit list. 2 out of 5 were good, in my opinion.
And so it's
Jumping
kind
Flash.
of like where like the 60 plus other games that I know that would be fantastic. So that's kind of shitty. I think it's, if anything, it's more of a collector's item. It's not really something for a hardcore player. Like I'll consider myself hardcore for the PS1. Because you're missing out on so many other great games. Now, it would be fan-fucking-tastic if you were able to download games, but since there's no PSN, then it's just a collector's item. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty straightforward as it is, kind of like similar to Nintendo's NES and SNES classics, but yeah, it is what it is. Jago, what are your thoughts on this? Is the no PSN thing a big thing for you, or like, you know, are you interested in it at all? The PS1 classic, and there's the no trophy support thing a big deal for you?
I don't give a shit about trophies on PS4 now, so I mean that's actually one thing. 2, like I said before, that whole era was just a strange era. I mean, if you go back and look at it now,
we smoking.
You were like in limbo for like 25 years.
Because we were transitioning. You know, they were trying to transition from one thing to another. 64 was trying to compete with the PlayStation and the Saturn, and you know, you got the CD-based games and the polygons, and it was just a weird. Some of the games didn't really look. I mean, if you go back, then we were blown away, but now if you go back looking, man, that game looks like ass. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. Am I gonna get it? No. I'm not gonna buy it. It's a collector's thing, like I think Primal says. You know, it's a collector's thing if for hardcore PlayStation fans, and I'm a video game fan. Period. Not a super fanboy. I lean more towards the Xbox because I'm a Sega guy, but it's more of a nostalgia thing. Like Mooch says, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. It's just, I think, like, you know, a lot of people will like turn it on, play a couple games, and be done with it. And there's an old saying, everything old becomes new again. I think a lot of this indie push, this like what gamers call now that we played back then, like people may not have experienced the NES, SNES, Nintendo 64, PS1, Sega Saturn days. Those games look indie to the younger generations that may have missed all those, and those are becoming hot again. You know, that's something really like I was talking about Arcade 1-Up before we started, and you know, I was watching videos on that, and most of the people playing those home arcade machines were younger people. Like I saw some adults playing them, but most of the people playing those, and guess what? One of the machines I saw most of the people playing was the Atari machine. Are you kidding me? It was like there was no colors. It's like all the games were like basically the 2 colors, like asteroid colors, you know, the gray and black. And it's you know, that, like I said, old trends become new, and I think that's what's pushing this whole this whole old school classic game movement it's where it's becoming really popular. So I mean, kudos to those guys that missed out on those games. I won't be picking it up because it's hard for me to go from just playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider to go and, you know, play Demolition Derby, which I had on my OG PS1, or Wipeout or something like that. Nah, man, I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And as for myself, I'm not really into the classic consoles. More of a nostalgia thing, and I'm not really into it. And the whole PSN functionality thing, it's not a big deal. I think, especially. Like, especially since, like, I mean, I would prefer if they did backwards compatibility proper the way that Microsoft and Xbox are doing it, but that's a completely different story that could lead into something else. But I'm not interested personally.
No.
Now, moving on to the next topic, and it'll probably be our last topic for the evening. So earlier today over Twitter, Hideo Kojima posted a new Death Stranding video. And it was a short video with Norman Reedus' character, and it introduces what appears to be a villain character with some a very impressive looking monster, like a giant cat lion thing. That's like it's big. Now this trailer, once again, it looks good. It looks pretty good graphically, but like every other Death Stranding trailer, it leaves us with more questions than answers, and I'm really left wondering what the heck the premise of this game still is. It's been like 3 years now that we've known about this game, and we don't really know much about it, but we've seen a bit. Now, panel, what's your thoughts? Have you guys watched the new trailer, and are you even interested in this game? And what do you think of the new trailer? Yeah. So let's get this party started. Primal Eve, I'm gonna ask you first. What are your thoughts on it?
Man. Yeah, well, it was actually because of you is how I saw it, and I just remembered, honestly, what the fuck. I wasn't so sure. It was very cool, though. Like, the whole, like, I don't know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of, like, Shadow of the Colossus, where you got this big thing coming at you, and then it opened its mouth all sideways, and then I got really confused. And Norman Reedus is just kind of like staring at that with that stare that he does and everything. And then the thing that he has on his back, its head is all kind of like, I don't know, like drugged up and shit. And I'm confused because at first I thought maybe he was carrying dead bodies in comparison to the last trailer, but this dead body is now a moving dead body, so it's really a dead body. And who's this cool dude that looks like he could be like a Jedi? It was just so like. I was caught off guard, and I'm trying to put all three trailers together, and not a single one of them connects to the other one. So I'm completely like my mind is blown. I have no idea what the hell I'm watching. I don't know what the hell this game is. What is this? I know you walk. I know there's dead bodies. I know there's some weird baby thing, and now there's this weird monster thing that opens its mouth like a vagina. So I'm just like really, really confused. I'm not so sure what to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just, it's been about, 3 years, let's say. This game has been in development, that we've known about it, that we've seen trailers for. And the art style, I mean, to me, like, the art style looks pretty interesting. And the game, like, from what we've seen so far, the little gameplay, like, it's made well. It just, nobody understands what the heck this game is. Now, should we be concerned at this point, panel? Like, what is going on here?
What the fuck is that game, bro?
What type of game is it? I just, panel, I don't know. Like, Noof, have you seen the little trailer? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I've seen the trailer, and it's still as baffling as fuck. I don't know. I mean, I will say that every time I see it, it looks intriguing. I'm always like intrigued and kind of a lot of 101 question marks going off in my head like a Riddler puzzle. But it's like that, and like I said, it graphically. I mean, I don't know if that's pre-rendered or what the hell it is, but I mean, if it starts to look like that, I mean, at least that point of it's good. Weird ass monster this time, like Primal said, but some kind of a gold mask that opens up into a vagina face. I don't know. It's I don't know. And then, of course, Norman Reedus is sitting there with the kind of blank stare in his face and some weird ass looking contraption on his back. I call it Norman Reedus and the Walking Fetus, a little FedEx simulator. I don't know, man. It's bizarre as fuck. Like, I'm seriously wondering if if Kojima smokes a good fatty before he sits down and writes out these ideas, because shit's weird, man. I mean, maybe the game's going to be fantastic. I have no idea. I'll have to wait till we see more, because right now I think most of us are about as up in the air as we were about 3 or 4 years ago when we first started seeing it. So who the hell knows? But let's hope that there's something to this game, because it looks bizarre as freak.
Exactly. And I find the concept for the game interesting. Like, it looks like it's going to pull you in, but then you're just kind of left going,
What's the concept?
What is this?
There is no concept.
Exactly. Fastback, buddy. Have you seen this trailer? And like, are you concerned with like the trailers, the newest one, the like that? You know, everybody's trying to understand the premise of this game. And have you seen the new trailer?
Yeah. I don't even know if Hideo Kojima knows what the fuck this is about. He's just making it, but no, it does look cool. Looks like a sci-fi horror flick. I am interested in it, but I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if these whatever you call them are aliens or they some kind of demons or what. But
I don't know. I'm starting to like agree with the rest of the panel here. You know, it's probably whatever drugs he's been smoking up. Like, you know, it's like a dream almost. Like I don't know what he's going
Does he
for.
get these ideas when Jeff Keighley's giving it to him in the ass with the lights up or what?
let's be honest. Hideo Kojima has one of the craziest minds we obviously out there than anybody else. That's why we had such great Metal Gear games back in the day, with all the crazy bosses. Where I can't remember his name now, but the first one, he would move your controller. You're like, holy shit! Psycho Mantis. I'm like, he's really moving my freaking controller right now. What is going on? I mean, you have to have a mind that's out there to come up with these crazy, fantastic bosses that you love to hate and you want to fight again for all the Metal Gear games.
Mm-hmm.
But he's on free reign now, and I think they're giving him extra crystal meth. So that's why
you're coffee.
Why you're seeing this ass load of craziness that makes no sense. That's like Primal said. None of these trailers. You go from Norman Reedus FedEx delivery guy to big ass hairy scary vagina man in the sky. You know, what is this game? And I think if he doesn't, honestly, I'll be honest, the trailers make no sense to me. I'm a super sci-fi fan. I'm a Star Trek fan. I think all you guys know that I'm like a Marvel fan. I love everything that comes to sci-fi, superheroes, whatever. But this game at this point makes no sense to nobody, and unless you soon give us some clear understanding to what exactly this game is, or a trailer that makes sense. There's a lot of people gonna go, you know what, fuck it, and put it on the back burner because I ain't got time for this craziness. I think they're trying something different. I think they've gave Kojima like free reign to because I think he was kind of maybe held back when he was doing the Metal Gear series, and he's like full control now. But it's time to rein it in and give us a clear, concise, maybe little like minute and a half trailer and show us what this game is exactly going to be, because at this point we don't know what the story exactly is, with babies and like people coming out of the water and 20-30 foot tall aliens and this vagina monster now. And he's got to get to a point to make people excited. You know what I'm saying? Show us something where the game is exactly going for us to actually get hyped. Because at this point, it's such craziness. I'll concentrate on the games that show me something to get excited for. You see what I'm going with that? Yeah.
You guys need to go check out Dealer's video of that game after E3 came out. He put together a little video of that. It's fucking priceless. So go to Dealer's channel, go back to about E3. About a week or two later, he made a video, and it's so good. It'll make you piss your gut laughing.
Oh man, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I have to go back and watch that now. Proto Foxy, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen the video that we're talking about, the trailer? And do you think that we should be concerned after we still don't really know the premise of this game? What's going on? What are your thoughts?
I've seen it. I've been following every little breadcrumb that Kojima is giving for this. I'm an unabashed Kojima whore when it comes to his game.
Fucking whore.
I am, totally. So I'm all about this. And unlike everybody on the panel here, I like the fact that we're only getting little bits of just this oddball stuff. Yeah, Kojima's smoking some crazy meth, whatever. He's got free reign. But you know what? I'm comfortable with that. because the guy can tell one hell of an off-the-wall story.
Oh, this just in, Proto. Charles Manson eating my bowl of Fruit Loops is going to be in the next trailer.
And I would be, and I'm okay with that. And I am definitely okay with this, sitting on my front porch, no less, eating the Fruit Loops. But the whole thing is the whole thing is when has Kojima not ever delivered, a 5-star AAA game?
He has,
you know what I mean?
But his trailers have always been, with all the Metal Gear games, you know what you were getting. You saw what type of game it was. This was just crazy.
No, and I've seen it, and that's what I dig about it. I like the fact that we don't know everything that's going on. I like the fact that it's so mysterious to me, and
it's
that's
crazy,
what I really dig. That's what I really dig about it, and I think obviously in its presentation it's gonna be some kind of sci-fi survival horror type game. Yeah. The only thing that really bothers me about it, I mean, it does look good and everything, but I think it's just, I'm so tired of Norman Reedus at this point that they have to shoehorn him into like everything. He right now he's the it guy.
Oh, he is the it guy.
Yeah, and for some reason, when the it guys start getting into everything, they start to irritate the ever-loving shit out of me. And anytime I see Norman Reedus doing Norman Reedus things like the Norman Reedus stare, I want to punch a bag of kittens. You know what I mean? I mean, everything else on this looks so cool, and I love the fact that these trailers are so mysterious that we don't know what the hell's going on. We're just getting glimpses of just pure insanity, and that to me is awesome. This is going to be a game when it finally comes out, because we've been hearing about it and seeing bits and pieces of it for 3 years. But when this game finally gets a date, I'm pre-ordering it. I have to have this.
I just hope they like unchain him from the desk and take his crystal meth away from him once it's finally
keep the IV hooked up to him, because this is I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and this is going to be one of the most off the wall, but I'm sure, being that it's Kojima, it's going to also be one of the most satisfying experiences.
It's going to be one of the craziest games. It's going to be one of the craziest games we ever play. I guarantee you that. And
I can guarantee you that, and I can guarantee you it'll be incredibly satisfying to play too.
What do we call it? Is this game going to be an art? What kind of RPG is this? Action, JRPG?
We don't know.
No.
Observation RPG. Have we even seen him shoot anything? I mean,
no.
They're just watching this shit go on. Yeah,
he's just walking,
delivering, watching.
This is
having and up a baby in his throat. I don't know.
This is actually TellTale's newest game. They were just trolling everybody.
But I'm telling you, to me, just the vibe I'm picking up from everything that we've seen so far is just, it's going to be some kind of survival horror, and maybe even very minimalistic too, which to me, that would be cool. That's like, cause that to me almost adds a sense of realism, because when you get into survival horror games in general, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I love survival horror, but you always have an answer for everything. So far, at least what I'm picking up from this, you're not going to have the answers for that. You're not going to have that particular weapon to take down giant hairy vagina face. You're going to have to figure that out.
I'm hoping
that's what excites me.
I'm hoping it's a PS5 game and they introduce some mechanics we haven't seen before.
And again,
I think it's still going to be a PS4 also. So.
It's possible. I mean, they haven't really
development all this time.
It looks like it could be a very trippy game if they make it the VR version.
Oh God, VR! Did you say VR? Holy shit!
Oh my God.
Supersonic.
Oh yeah, Supersonic would be covering that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, this game, I still don't know what to think about it. Like, I'm interested. I think it's a cool concept, but at the same time, like after like 2 or 3 years, you gotta have at least a trailer that kind of puts together everything. At least there should be some explanation. Like, I don't mind the little breadcrumbs, don't get me wrong, but it's been a little too long now, and I think it would be nice just to have something that while I am interested in it, and I do believe that Kojima is going to put together a good game, at the same time, just let me understand the premise of it better, please, please.
It's
let
been
me.
too long.
Exactly. Let me know, some of the mechanics and stuff like that. It would be nice. Just please, just let us, breathe a sigh of relief just to let us know what this game is. Oh,
Yeah.
that and have a release date.
Yeah, a release date would be nice.
Yeah, but anyways, guys, it appears that's the end of the episode of the show, and I think we covered some pretty cool topics. Like, I think we did a really good job here, and I hope you left feeling more drug-induced than the latest Death Stranding trailer.
Hope so.
Now, hey, we've thank you everyone who came to listen. We've got some really great fans here, and all of us on the panel really appreciate your time and dedication. And now, without further ado, let's get to some of the outros, starting with our guest, Mr. Fastback. Hey, buddy, tell us where everyone can find you at.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on the show, and thank everybody in chat. Chat was real good. You can find me on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, Fastback6768. You can find me on the WDFC. Who the fuck cares? Just game.
Fuck cares.
It's supposed to be every Thursday, but sometimes we kind of, wing it, whatever. We didn't go last Thursday. We went Wednesday on the Dazcast.
Dazcast.
So this Thursday, we're going to have Mel from Coffee, Consoles, and Casuals. He's going to be on with us. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then every Friday, you'll catch me on the OG, NOG, Next Level Gaming. It's on Twitch at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And I just want to announce on that Friday, I'm going to do a Forza Horizon 4 giveaway.
Nice.
Appreciate everybody. Just come over, say hi. Give a follow, and of course, you got to be in the chat and have a chance to win the Forza Horizon 4. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great giveaway. Nice Fastback. Wow.
So I appreciate you guys. I love gaming, love hanging out with all you guys, and just BSing. So,
of course. Well, hey, we appreciate the guys from the WDFC and NLG. Fastback, you do great content, bud. Keep it up, and everyone in the chat, whoever watches the video and listens, definitely keep your eyes peeled out for his giveaway. All right, next, Jago, where can everybody find you at, brother?
I just want to say first of all, I want to thank you thanks Fastback for hanging out with us tonight, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
It's cool having you on the show. I think it's the first time, right?
Yep.
You and thank the chat too, because the chat's always on fire. The people that show up to watch us. If it weren't for you guys, we'd be sitting here talking to ourselves. So I want, it's true. I want to say thank you to you guys. You can find me on Xbox, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, but not here lately. But I do have a little tiny YouTube channel I don't do much with. But all those places at Jago Cookin, and you can find me on PlayStation at my old gamer tag because Sony's assholes at Tuscany34. But I want to say, appreciate everybody in the chat and the panel. Y'all were fire tonight. Good show, guys.
Exactly. Thank you very much for that, Jago. Mr. Noof Nuka, Mr. Boo Boom Kaboom, where can everybody find you at, brother?
Boom, boom, kaboom. Time for Noof to leave the room, shut my pie hole, and take control of an actual controller. Get some gaming in here before it's time to shut the old eyelids. Anyway, guys, big shout out to the chat. You guys are fantastic. Cyber Gunter, Shizno, Elise, the Indie Gamer. We got our brother from down under, Stick Figure, stopping in here. It's got to be a nice and early lunch. Bizzle up in the chat. BZ McNasty. The list goes on and on. You guys are fucking fantastic. Crazy Greek dude's been here. Like I said, the list goes on.
Jumped in, yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm going to miss a few because there's a lot of people, but each and every one of you guys are definitely appreciated. And don't forget, guys, share the love because we want to give away that console. We need to hit 300. So hopefully Glitch gets back next week. Hopefully we'll have Stinking Corpse back as well. Shit happens, life happens, guys can't make it, but they're doing okay. They will be back. But yeah, and a big thanks to all the panel and our special guest, Fastback. It's great to have him here tonight. He did a bang-up job. We're going to be bringing him back again, I guarantee it.
I think you did.
Amen to that. And that's about it for me, guys. You know where to find me. Always in the gutter, but you can find me Noof Nukem on Xbox and Noof Nukem 76 on PlayStation Network. If you want to hit me up and play a game, let's do it.
All right, good stuff, brother. All right, next we got UK Dazarus' second wife here, Miss Primal Eve, the voice best here.
Wishes.
Great. I just want to thank everybody, the panel and the chat, for making Mondays the one day I go through the most underwear. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Fastback, for joining us. It was really great to have you.
Thank you. Dad's jealous.
Right. No, he'll get his later. If you guys want, you can follow me on Twitter at Primal Eve. I'm also on Xbox, also as Primal Eve, but it's 2 words, not 1. And I am now on the PSN, also as Primal Eve. So you guys can come and find me and
come
play
and
along.
find you. Nice.
All right, you hear that, everybody? You can play along. And alrighty, and last but certainly not least, the Red Robotic Menace, Proto Foxy. Where can everybody find you, pal?
You can find me being red and menacing on Twitter at Foxy Proto because it's backwards. You can find me on YouTube as Proto Foxy. You can find me on the PSN as Happy Emo Puncher because that's my old name and Sony won't let you change.
Fucking assholes.
You can find me on Steam as Wicked Lance. Otherwise, Monday nights you're finding me here. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know most of my activities during the week are playing older games, so I have to really get back into playing the newer stuff here and be red and menacing on the PS4 every once in a while. Fastback, thanks for being here, bro. It was nice meeting you. It was a good show with you.
Yeah, thank you, Proto. Appreciate it.
Fastback's a good dude, man.
And if Proto gets to change his name, I think we know where he's going. He's going to call it Bag of Kitten Puncher.
Yep, Bag of Kitten Puncher for sure.
And of course, Proto, you're always welcome on WDFC. If you can make it, I know Noof, we've talked several times. I know your schedule kind of makes it harder, but we can always move the time up a little bit. We'll piss off Daz, Yeah, so late.
Just send me a message, man. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know when I can drop on by.
I forgot to say earlier too. You can find me on this podcast, the WDFC, whenever they roll Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever time slot, and the Dice Cast, which is gonna be once a month from now on. So there you go, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Beer,
and pillowcases.
And puddles. But yeah, Fastback, buddy. Yeah, thank you for being on. You're a great guest and a great friend of the show. And I'm sure everybody would love to be on the WFC cast at some point.
Anytime.
And of course,
you Invader. Your show hitting over 1,000.
Oh,
yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Well deserved, sir.
Congrats, man.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate that. We've done it without all the support from everybody here, and there's so many countless other people that I could name, especially in the chat. And you're
a good guy, Invader. Well deserved, brother.
And you drive a Mustang.
Hell yeah, man.
Vroom vroom. No, yeah, you got that right, fellow Fastback. Actually, yeah, no, I'm truly humbled that I feel honestly blessed. Like I know so many awesome people, like through the different, the community channels, and I love doing this. I love talking on these podcasts, this podcast, and getting to know you guys, getting to know everybody, and just talking games and playing games and getting involved because it's fun. This is a great hobby, and I love sharing it with everyone.
The video game hobby is the best hobby, brother. Let's just put it that way.
You got that right. And beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, you guys, you can find me here on this channel, Invader Gaming, and I'm quite active on Twitter at Invader_1986. So with that being said, take it easy, everyone. have a good night and keep a tight robotic ass.
I'm not always right, but when I'm not, I choose Dos Equis.
I don't
Later,
always
guys.
do podcasts, but when I do the game dosage.
Yes,
Later, people.
sir. Later,
Take
guys.
Yeah, good night.
Peace.